Today, we are going to pull back the curtain on a test that for millions of people is a global passport, the IELTS exam. Now, this isn't just any old language test. It's a benchmark that literally opens doors to universities and careers all over the world. So let's get into it and break down exactly what it takes to succeed. So let's say you want to study or work in an English-speaking country. You know, your English is good, you feel confident, but how do you actually prove that to a school or a company that's thousands of miles away? Well, for millions of people, this right here is the answer. The IELTS has become that one crucial gateway. A high score can be the one thing that separates you from a spot in your dream university or landing that amazing international job. And because of that, the pressure is, it's huge. So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to walk through the whole test experience. We'll start with the basics, then we'll dive into the listening and reading challenges, see how you're supposed to build a written argument, and finally, we'll zoom out and talk about what this whole thing is really all about. Okay, so at its very core, the IELTS is just a super comprehensive way to measure how well you can communicate in English. And it does that by breaking it down into 4 essential skills. Every single person who takes the test has to face these 4 distinct modules. You've got to show you can understand spoken English, that you can get through complex written stuff, that you can write down your ideas clearly, and that you can hold your own in a real conversation. For this explainer, we're going to focus on the first 3, since those are the ones usually taken all in one go on the same day. All right, let's start with the very first thing you'd face, the listening section. And this isn't about just kind of getting the gist of a conversation. No, you are under serious pressure. You only get to hear the recording one time, and you are expected to catch very specific, tiny but critical details. So picture this. You put your headphones on, the recording starts, and you hear a phone call. It's a customer ordering a gift, some flowers and chocolates, and your job is to pull out all the key information as they're talking. And just look at how specific these details are. It's not enough to know she ordered chocolates. You have to catch the exact request. A mix, mostly white, but absolutely no liqueurs. And you have to pull the precise delivery cost, £19, out of the conversation. If you miss just one of those little details, boom, you lose the point. And just when you think you've got the hang of it, ordering gifts and whatnot, the test just throws a total curveball at you. The topics are intentionally designed to be unpredictable, just to see if you can comprehend anything, no matter the subject. And this is the perfect example of what I mean. One minute you're listening to a conversation about chocolates, and the very next you're hearing a monologue about a British company that generates electricity from chicken dung. Yep, you heard that right. The whole point is you have to be ready to focus on and understand anything, no matter how random it seems. So from listening, let's move on to the reading section, which kind of builds on that. The challenge here is to read and understand these really dense, often academic texts on a wildly diverse range of subjects. And of course, you're on a very strict timer. One of the most fundamental skills that's being tested here is paraphrasing. In other words, can you recognize the exact same idea when it's expressed using completely different words? It sounds simple enough, but trust me, under pressure, it can be deceptively tricky. Let's look at this example. The original text uses phrases like acknowledged for many years and bound to become extinct. The correct answer in a multiple choice question paraphrases that as known for a long time and will disappear. To make that connection, you really have to have a solid command of vocabulary and sentence structure. And just like in the listening test, the topics here are completely all over the map, and that is 100% by design. It makes sure that nobody gets an unfair advantage just because they happen to be an expert in one specific field. It's meant to be a pure test of your reading skill. The mental gymnastics you have to do are pretty intense. I mean, one minute you could be deep in a passage about a complex scientific process like combinatorial chemistry, and then the very next passage might force you to analyze the psychology behind road rage. All right, next up is the writing section. This is where the tables turn. Now you have to actively produce language, not just understand it. And it's split into 2 very different tasks, each testing a really unique set of skills. For task 1, you essentially become a data analyst for about 20 minutes. You're given some kind of visual, like this bar chart showing what people think causes crime, and your job is to describe and summarize all the key information in at least 150 words. But here's the trick. A really successful response isn't just a list of the numbers. It's about creating a story, a narrative from the data. You have to find patterns, maybe group related things together, like putting poverty and unemployment under a single societal category, and then move from the big picture down to the specific details, comparing things as you go. And then you get to task 2, which is a whole different ballgame. This is a formal essay. You're given a prompt, like this one arguing about whether architects should focus on beauty over function, and you have to write a well-structured argument of at least 250 words. I mean, just think about what this one task is demanding. In only 40 minutes, you have to decode the question, come up with a clear point of view, back it up with good examples, organize it all into a coherent essay, and hit that word count. It is a massive test of critical thinking and managing your time. So, after breaking down this intense listening, the varied reading, and the structured writing, what is the IELTS really measuring? Because it's about so much more than just that final score you get. Here's the key takeaway. This exam is basically a proxy. It's designed to simulate the kind of academic and professional pressure you're actually going to face. It's testing your ability to take in complex information, analyze it, and then communicate what you understand clearly, all while that clock is ticking down. And buried deep inside one of those reading passages is this really profound sentence. It's a great reminder that the actual process of getting ready for a challenge like this, the studying, the practice tests, all the mistakes you make, that's where the real learning happens. Success isn't just about the score. It's about the growth that comes from wrestling with all this stuff. And that leaves us with one final thought. The IELTS is a gateway, right? And the score is the key that opens the door. But in this relentless focus on passing the test, how do we remember to value the learning that happens along the way? Especially the kind of learning that can only come from messing up and trying again. It's a question that's worth thinking about long after the test is over.